Well, hello and welcome to the latest Historics podcast. We are here at Brooklands. It is the last Historics auction of 2021, and Brooklands is, of course, a famous venue. It was a motor racing circuit that was in action between 1907 and 1939, and it's a place where I have got a bit of a special connection, more of which in a moment. But let us welcome our guests first of all, and we are joined by a woman at last. Hurrah! She has appeared on the popular TV car show about a family-run car business, Bangers and Cash. It's Sarah Crabtree.
Hello.
Yay! Now, Sarah, in what role are you with the auction this week?
I'm here this week just as Mark's part-time wench, basically.
Mark the boss.
Mark the boss.
And of course, as usual, we have our two boys with us to keep the numbers equal. We have auction expert Mathew Priddy. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
And we have YouTube car enthusiast Tom Exton.
Hello, Vicki. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Now then, as we are at such a historic site, I would just like to get your personal experiences about this venue. So who would like to kick us off? Matthew, this is not your first time here.
This is not our... No, we think we've been here 7 times now. Strangely enough, I've never been to the 3rd floor. I don't know what goes on up there.
Is it the top floor?
It's the top floor. Ooh. I'm not invited, obviously, so I've only ever done ground level, 1st floor, not allowed any further.
Tom, have you been here many times?
I have been here many moons ago. My only memory of it is facing the wrong way on various parts of the track and making a complete idiot of myself on the skid pan. But other than that, nothing valuable to add about the venue other than it's a very nice day.
Yeah, it is, of course, home to Mercedes-Benz World. So they have the circuit behind us, a great big skid pan, an off-road course, and driving as well for kids and stuff. So it's a proper family day out.
It's a fabulous place.
Have you been before?
I haven't. I'm a Mercedes-Benz World virgin. So I'm getting broken in this week. It's brilliant.
We have to get you out on the track, won't we?
Yeah,
get
definitely.
One of these racing drivers to break you in.
I'm up for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we organise that, please, for today?
Oh, we're on that. We'll be all over that. Mark will have to sort that one out for
Mark.
you. Yeah.
He can be your wench for a moment.
He can be my...
Yeah, perfect.
Definitely.
There we go. Now, I have a very special connection because my grandfather, Lionel Butler Henderson, raced a Fraser Nash around the actual circuit.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, in his... And I brought not a picture of him at Brooklands, but there is my grandfather, and there's his Fraser Nash car.
That's fantastic.
And he taught around the track. And I just think what utter heroes these people were, because they had no helmets as such, maybe a bit of leather if they were lucky. And they went around this massively banked, really steep circuit that you can barely walk on. If you've ever tried, you end up on all fours trying to climb up.
If you pop through the museum, you can still get up there now, and it is incredibly steep.
Yeah.
And misconceptions that it was that much more smoother back in the day. It was a bit like a rally course.
Yeah, exactly.
On a banking.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much is still actually here. Although,
yes.
Unfortunately, sort of segregated by Marks and Spencers. But it's amazing that most of it still is there.
Yeah, and I just think that they had no runoff areas, no armcos, no sort of safety, really, in those days. And if you flew off the banking, you went into trees. That was it.
Proper racing heroes.
Yeah, and then probably about 15 years ago, I came back to Brooklands because somebody found my grandfather's car, and I came with my brother, and I just drove it up and down sort of, the little area at Brooklands. It was really special, so it's nice
That's
for me
a
to be
great
back.
story.
Your story wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, obviously this is home of Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz is very dominant in Formula One at the minute. We've just had the Qatar Formula One Grand Prix. Things are getting spicy, aren't they?
Yes.
We've got 2 races left. What do you think?
Well, at the moment, I'm looking at it from sort of a cynical point of view, but cars often set the pace. That the Mercedes seem to have the pinch at the moment. So unless there's an incident or a mechanical failure, we could be going into the last race of the year. We literally winner takes all. I mean, Verstappen could win it this weekend if something goes wrong, but it could be winner takes all. I mean, you said earlier, it was a bit of a duller race last time round, but it was required really to set it up.
Yeah, bar a few punctures, it was a pretty boring race. But I think the pace of Hamilton's Merc in those conditions, obviously the conditions are going to be matched in the race in Saudi.
Yeah.
I don't see the Red Bull getting
I
anywhere
think
near
they're
it.
pretty evenly matched, the pair of them. But yeah, it's going to come down to who's probably got the best car set up.
That Merc is a rocket ship. It's all fresh and it's...
I've never such a pendulum swing this year.
Yeah.
I thought he was done for.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff. Are you an F1 fan, Sarah?
I'm afraid I've got no idea really whatsoever what you're talking about. I prefer stock car racing.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Ah.
So I don't know what you're on about. I don't
Okay.
watch Formula One.
And why should we be switching our viewing attention to stock cars?
Why not? Tell you what, you watch a
Yeah.
bit of stock car racing, and then next time you tell me. Yeah.
There we go. You watch the Formula 1, we watch the stock cars, and then we'll have a bit of a catch-up
okay.
next time.
You're on.
Now then, as well as Mercedes-Benz, other teams look to Formula One to promote their own brands. We have Ferrari, of course, Alpine, Aston Martin, McLaren, Alfa Romeo. And how important do you think it is for motorsport to promote those brands and for us then to go and buy them down on the street level?
Well, years ago, of course, there was lots of privateers really, and they were using engines, borrowed engines, and what we're finding now is those privates have been bought out and they're being sort of layered on top with an Alfa Romeo skin or an Aston Martin skin. Now, they're not quite Ferrari, I think, where Ferrari's Ferrari from start to finish, but they've seen what Mercedes, I think, have done with AMG,
Yeah.
and it's been an incredibly successful marketing ploy. I mean, now they sell these AMG C63s and things by the bucket load, and I think other car manufacturers have seen that, thought, well, hang on a minute, this is a way that we should promote our brand. And I think that's why you see, Aston Martin's probably a good example, Alfa Romeo, again, same thing, bringing that level up to being seen as proper sports cars.
Yeah. We just need now a car called the Red Bull, don't we, to hit our streets,
Yeah.
and then the circle would be complete.
With electric cars, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, let's
yeah,
say
good point.
Microsoft and things are developing cars, why not Red Bull?
Yeah. And what about the pace cars then? Those cars that, that set the pace at the front?
But yes, because you can go out on the track. Maybe you'll be going out on the track later in one. But the AMG GT, which you can go around the track here, which is one of the pace cars, not the one, but obviously the same bike that do it at the current Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And then I think Aston Martin have a Vantage.
They do, yes, they
that
do.
they also use.
Yeah, 4-litre twin-turbo V8.
Yeah.
That was a good one, that one.
Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've always, pace cars have always been quite cool.
Yeah, but I think it's quite interesting that Mercedes-Benz and Aston Martin have tied up and they're sort of sharing. The roles this year.
Essentially the same car.
Well,
Maybe
exactly. and there's exactly. There's money in both
There's definitely
pockets.
a little bit of money in there, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. If I said to you that a Ford Escort was a pace car at one time in Formula One, would you say yes or no?
No.
Would you think I was pulling your plumber?
Ford Escort.
Yeah, a Ford Escort.
That
I
would
don't
have.
think you could make that up, so I think it's true.
According to my Google search, that is true.
Really? When was that?
Yeah, I don't
Not in the
know.
past few years.
Yeah.
Maybe it did a small lap at Silverstone or something to fly the flag
We
for
should
Dagenham.
we should find the model quickly because
Yeah.
if we
We need
promote
to-
that, it could certainly upswell the values in them for classic.
Oh, that's a good
Cool,
point. Yeah. Very good. And the first ever safety car in Formula One was actually a Porsche 914 deployed at the which year Canadian Grand Prix? The first time it was used in Formula One.
Come on, classic car, man.
A safety car.
A safety car. Would
Yeah.
it, so the first ever, I think the first ever pace cars were over in Indianapolis, and that was in was that the 40s?
I know, it's so...
It's quite late on,
Yeah.
isn't it? So I would have said maybe 10 years later, maybe let's say the 50s.
1973 was the first safety car.
914.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm
Oh,
thinking
yeah,
there,
the-
I should have thought
the
about the
clue's
car
there.
rather than the date. Yeah, the clue was there.
But Tom didn't pipe up for you. He just
No.
let you hang
No,
that
I
survey.
let, yeah, I
Let
saw
me
that
know.
rope
Thanks,
and I
Tom.
thought,
Yeah.
let him do it.
What about the best motor racing pace cars you've ever seen?
So for me, I remember the Dodge Viper, which again I think was an Indianapolis car, and having since driven one, I was really disappointed. But back then, I just thought they're like a spaceship. That great
Why were you
long
disappointed?
bonnet. It just, you never meet your stars. I just wasn't particularly enthralled, but it was a bit rattly. It was all engine and no real
Right,
go.
okay.
Very American car,
Yeah.
to be fair. I mean, I probably
And
should have
also
expected more.
too massive, really, for British country roads.
Yeah, it just. I think
might-
how it looked and then how it drove many years later
Yeah.
was I probably shouldn't have got in. I should just let it be.
Don't you think a lot of cars are like that?
Oh, a lot, yeah.
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 Do you have a particular car that you wish you'd never got in?
From a driving point of view.
What other point of view would there be? Yeah.
down
I've driven a lot of classic cars, and I think I always expect them to be as bad as they're going to be. So I don't have high expectations.
Yeah. I get that. When you work in classics, your expectations are lowered. And so actually quite often you're surprised by how good something is rather than the other way around.
So it is,
because you're dealing with, on a daily basis, something that's in all sorts of...
I mean, I've just bought a Morris Ital, so... I mean, come on. I expected that to be a bad drive, and it is.
So your expectations have been met. Perfect.
Been met completely.
And maybe that's a lesson for us all there, just lower.
So as that being my daily driver, anything that I drive now is good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great philosophy. Yeah.
Any pace cars for you that you recall?
Yeah, I think in recent years, any of the Mercs with the 6.2 or 6.3, depending on how you want to argue it.
With the big proper V8s.
Yeah, the big V8 in it. Because often they fiddle with them as well to make them louder.
Yeah.
So
they're louder than the Formula 1 cars now.
Yeah, they are. So yeah, any of those that used to just go barreling around with Bert, what's his name in there?
Bert Mylander.
Yeah.
He's statistically something like the person who has led more laps of a Grand Prix than anyone else, because he's done it for so many years.
And I always do wonder if you just stuck him in one of the cars to shut them all up, because they're always moaning, it's not going fast enough.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing with road cars, because when we make films for TV, it's very difficult to make a car look exciting and fast, unless you go sideways and you burn smoke, but then you're not being very fast, you're just being sort of theatrical. Because that Bert Mylander in that Mercedes at the front of the grid when he's absolutely flat out.
And they're just behind him going, come on. I
know, it's just incredible, isn't it?
Proper legend, that man.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have got one of Bert's cars, well, not his exact car, but it's like a sort of ish similar car in the auction on Saturday, and that's lot number 153, the 2010 Mercedes SLS 63 AMG.
So the earlier incarnation. You've got a bit of a keen eye on this, haven't you, Tom?
Oh,
I have. I've got a bit of a personal interest in this one because I own a very similar car. I have an SLS 63 AMG, silver with the same wheels. It's essentially the same car. Huge SLS fan.
And you're going to be pushing the prices up, I assume?
I will be pumping away on social media. Yeah, having a good pump. No, I think they're great. I think they're good news, and I think long-term wise, having your money in one of those is a really good idea.
We've spoken before about it, isn't it? And the doors are the important part on them.
Yeah.
When they took the doors away for all of the most, it's got to be the gull-wing doors.
They took the doors away and they put a turbo in it. That's the last big fat silly V8 with gull-wing doors. It's the modern 300SL, and you look at 300SL values. What are they now? £1.5 million?
Well, yeah. If you get the right, I mean, they own one here, or they used to own one here,
yeah.
And it was known as one of the most iconic ones because it was owned by Mercedes-Benz, and you had people offering them all sorts of silly figures, and they just wouldn't part with it. Big money cars, but proper icons, proper icons.
And that SLS came out with an advert with a Schumacher on it, driving on the roof of a tunnel. I think it was a red one, back in 2010 or whenever it was launched. So yeah, it's an iconic car. I love it, but then I'm biased.
But the estimate for this is £160,000 to £185,000.
You're hoping going past that top end, aren't you?
Yeah, it's 250 at least.
Does it hit the spot for you, that Vicki?
Well, I have again another affiliation with a car like this, because on an item for fifth gear, I was at Rockingham race circuit with the chef James Martin in one of these cars.
Sorry, do you want to pick that name up?
How can I get away without saying his name?
It's like these celebrity friends that these girls.
I know, it's just we're sick of it.
It was for TV. Anyway, so we had to strap a knife to the bonnet of the car, so it came out in a horizontal fashion from the nose outwards. It came out about 40 centimetres, something like that, and then in the middle of an apex, in a corner of a hairpin, on a road cone stood a cucumber that was reaching up towards the sky. And I had to, first of all, whilst going sideways, come along and slice the cucumber using the knife on the nose of the car. So not only did I have to do that, which I've never done before, I then had to teach James Martin, I'll pick that up again, to do it. I mean,
How did it go?
We went for that film. I had no idea if it was something I could possibly do. Anyway, after about my sixth go, I did it.
Wow,
and
well
went
done.
Nuts because I was so excited that I did it. And then it took us almost a whole day for James to do it.
I think it's a whole day. I mean, even a day to do that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
If someone's
and then at the end, he just sort of like nicked it, so it was quite good. But you had to be going sideways to do it. You couldn't just,
Good driver, bad driver? Come on, drop him in it.
He is definitely one who could he's
improve.
good, but he's definitely got the knowledge and the skill to be even better. So yeah, he knows what to do. Yeah.
Once again, your story wins.
Yeah. So what other AMGs have we got in this auction then? So we've got a couple, haven't we?
Well, I think that we need to talk about lot number 191.
Oh, I know what's coming. I do know what's coming.
Yes.
This is your favourite, isn't it?
Well, lot 191 on Saturday is the 1978 Mercedes-Benz 500 Koenig wide body special.
If any of you haven't seen this, go online and have a look at it. It's something to see. It's the most 80s looking car I think I've ever seen.
And if you are attending the viewing days, come and see it in the metal, because the pictures don't do it justice. You just stand there and you go,
well, let's describe it. So for anyone that's not
Wow.
seeing this, it's got huge Testarossa slats on a Mercedes R107 SL.
I thought you were going to say huge testosterone.
It probably
which
needed
it
that.
actually
Yes,
has.
exactly. And then the most ludicrous rear wing and deep dish BBS alloys
In gold.
in gold. Just to top it off, it is something
It's
else.
got wooden steering wheel as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect, yes.
yeah, it has.
And as I was saying earlier, they got this was a Mercedes thing. They put the controls for the seats in the fabric, which frightens the life out of me, because you're running electrical wires through what should be a relatively
A minor detail, it's fine.
back then probably quite a flammable.
Yes.
I mean, it's about as dangerous as sticking a knife on the front of a car, really, isn't it? So, but that is amazing.
The thing is, if you were driving this down the road and you were in your SLS in front of it, no one's going to look at your car. Everyone is
mate,
looking
what's
at this. Everybody.
First time on
I'm
here and you're
sorry.
bullying me.
But it's true.
But
Yeah, it is true.
between that and there's a sort of sister car, isn't there? There's an 560 SEC, and both of them are epically 80s. And the 560's got, I think it was on the page before, wasn't it? And it's got a TV screen, basically where an airbag would now be.
On the head of the passenger.
Oh, and so many buttons. I mean, literally, just to move the seat, 3 buttons combination. It's amazing. They're very 80s AMGs before AMG became such a sort of groundswell of production cars that you can use on a daily basis. That would have been. I mean, what sort of owners would be owning that? You found it.
Well, yeah. From the catalogue, it does say that Mike Tyson owned one and Sylvester Stallone. So that is the kind of owner.
So the sort of person, if you're the sort of person that owns a tiger at home, this is the car for you. That's it, yeah.
Do you have a favourite Mercedes in the auction?
Ooh, I quite like the, and it can seem a little bit dull because it's a bit under the radar, but the SL55 F1, which has got the F1 Performance Pack, and strange enough, it's even in a tax band, which means the tax is relatively cheap compared to the fact that it can probably outstrip of its era Ferraris, Lamborghinis. It is epically quick, but then still has that quite refined standard car feel to it.
Why is it in a special tax bracket that it
So
shouldn't really be
I think it's called Band K, and between a certain year and a certain band, for some reason, a bit like these ULEZ things, it sits in a bracket which is only £235, I think, don't quote me on that, to tax it in a year. But if you get the likewise Ferrari with the same sort of power, 200 miles an hour, 5 seconds, under 5 seconds, you're paying at least double that. So strangely, it's very usable, but just a real weapon. I quite like that undertone of no one really knows.
Stealth.
The complete opposite to the which is like
in all its glory.
Yeah.
So Sarah, let us focus on you now for a moment. Your lovely 2 legs instead of 4 wheels. What is in your garage, and what do you particularly find attractive when you go to look and to buy a car?
At the moment in my garage, as I just said, is the Morris Ital 1980 in russet brown. The best colour, obviously. That's the kind of car that I love. Unfortunately, I'm a advocate of British Leyland motoring. So,
what was the first car that you ever owned?
a Mini.
True to the
A
British
Mini.
Leyland core.
Yeah, a Mini. Yeah, I've had a really nasty Volkswagen Passat, which I wrote off on the way to part exchange it one day. Yeah.
Did they take anything else?
Take
for part
this is when you're
exchange?
wondering, spares and repairs.
Yeah, I just went, oops.
And if money was no object, what would you go for?
My top of my top 10 car list is a Reliant Scimitar.
Is it? My dad, we had one when I was
I would
growing up.
love a Reliance
It was
Scimitar.
brown.
I would love one.
Brown
Oh,
beige.
I'd love a brown one. I'd love
Yeah.
orange. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I would love a Scimitar.
good girl.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I bonded.
I'm going to
with
go
her.
I
on
might crowdfund
I'm
actually.
going to
for a
consign
Scimitar.
one. I'm definitely going to consign one for March. You get the money on the crowdfunding,
Yeah.
and then we'll make sure all the commission goes to charity.
Oh yeah.
And because it's on camera, Mark can't say no.
No, he can't.
He can't say no.
Yeah.
So everyone get involved.
But nothing modern for you at all.
Sorry.
No, it's good.
I drive a Seat Leon
Yeah.
as a daily driver also, and it's a great car. But yeah, sorry.
So if money were no object, Tom, what would you go for? You've probably got something already, haven't you?
I want a Pagani Huayra. Yeah. Nothing too flashy, nothing too expensive. A few million quid.
Yeah.
Cheap
I have this
taste.
thing whenever someone mentions something. Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that one.
know.
Pagani.
Or an F50.
You didn't think
Okay.
that when I said Scimitar though, did you?
I didn't think Scimitar, no, but I must admit, now I'm thinking Pagani. I'm thinking the old Zondas, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yes. Oh, now I've completely fixated on that. I'm not going to have anything else
Yeah.
in my brain.
I went to the factory over in Italy and drove the Zonda for the first time when it was first launched. I just
It
it was so magical. But you're sitting quite low, and then you've got these lovely sort of door mirrors that are like ears that just poke up
Like
the top.
it's like the old Testarossa door
lovely.
mirrors, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. But I always think they've taken over the mantle from, they did take over the mantle from Lamborghini, because the styling was just so out there and so individual that when I first saw it, I was like, that's been the supercar world's been crying out for that.
It's
It was some while ago
exquisite.
now, but it was some, it was,
Yeah.
They're AMG powered as well, so look at that. I've tied it in.
Yeah.
See how
Well,
we do
I'm going to
that?
pick up
See
your
how we do
Lamborghini thread and say that my favourite car ever still is a Lamborghini Diablo GT. They made only 80 of them, and in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I went to Lamborghini's headquarters for filming to drive one, and I felt that I'd met my match in metal. I was like, if this was a bloke, I would be marrying that. and now, 21
I think
years
in some
later,
states in America you can actually do that. So
but 21 years later, it's still at the top of my list.
oh, that's
Yeah.
true love. First love.
Well, exactly. Well,
First love, true love.
I have just done a film on the Lamborghini Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive, which I know it's only a V10 engine, and the Lamborghini Diablo had a V12. But I was like, oh, could you be, my next...
I've just sold
next
mine.
job?
Could you be the younger model?
Yeah.
You just sold it.
I've just sold mine.
Did
Yeah,
you?
I had the Evo rear-wheel drive, and I
Did
had
you?
the previous 580-2 rear-wheel drive. I think they're the pick of the bunch.
Yeah.
Modern Lamborghinis, it's
Yeah.
the rear-wheel drive Huracans.
Yeah.
They're the clever buy, and they're
Totally.
much cheaper than the four-wheel drive ones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
They're
also because
really
the four-wheel
smart
drive
buy.
one's got a bit stay. They then
Just
struggle
Quattro.
to shake off that Volkswagen feel.
Audi Quattro, that's what it is.
Whereas
Yeah.
that sort of going back to rear-wheel drive, then
I should have kept it, but
Oh,
I'm an
we
idiot.
could all imagine if we'd have all kept everything.
Do you know how many people that come tell me about they used to own E-Types and DB5s when they were? I mean, it's and you have to say to people, don't think it that way. Never think of it that way. You've owned one.
Come and have a bid.
Yeah. Buy another
We've
one.
got loads.
Yeah.
Matthew, how is the car market at the moment?
It's buoyant.
Oh, good.
I've been watching all the other auction houses sort of coming into this sort of section of the year, which is towards the end of the year, and it's doing very well. I know there's a big show over at Riyadh at the moment in Saudi Arabia. Big cars on offer there. I know that other auction houses have done very well. So actually, at the moment, pretty buoyant. Good time to sell, and it's a nice time to buy, because you can buy now, and then you can sort of titivate your car.
Fettle over the winter.
And over the winter, ready for the spring.
Is the winter a good time to buy convertible cars?
That is a bit of a
Is it a myth?
misconception, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we always the same thing about here. People say, oh, it's the winter auction. Traditionally, for historics, this has always been our strongest auction. I mean, the venue's lovely, but it's the time of year. People do like to spend their money. I think the world slows down a little bit now. We're not trying to take our families away every single weekend. They can concentrate their mind, and they can think about next year. So I don't think it's as... 10, 15 years ago, yes. Now, not so much. There are a few cars I think that are related to that, with little MGB convertibles or things you can literally buy and then use in the summer. But no, I don't think there's this great bargain.
Yeah.
You proved me wrong. But traditionally, I don't think it makes a big difference. I think nowadays...
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, people know what they want, and they're waiting for what they want. It's the same here. People say, oh, will it be fine? People, they research the cars we have, they then come to see that car and they bid on that car.
Yeah.
There's not that many people that come along and just go, oh, I'll have anything. And if they are...
They're waiting for that vehicle to come on the market, aren't they?
Exactly.
So when it comes on the market, regardless of what time of year it is, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
They've been waiting for it. They've been looking for it. So.
Tom, are you waiting to buy anything at the moment?
No.
Okay.
I say that, but I haven't looked round everything properly yet, so I'm sure I'll have a little...
get Tom into...
Can you just not, actually? Because every time I come here...
But you failed last time miserably, didn't you?
I was actually in for the bidding on that Alpha Zagato, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were, yeah.
Yeah, I was outbid by one of my followers, actually.
And I've even got you another Zagato this time round, the Lancia Hyena.
Yes.
Now that is even more incredible and rare. So
I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't know that existed.
24 ever made.
Really?
They're on a Lancia Delta Integrale sort of running gear.
Which is
Zagato,
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So lighter than the normal car and incredibly rare. And that one's owned by a chap who, because originally they were very difficult to sell. Not surprisingly, they were a bit off the wall. And this one I think ended up with I think it was a Dutch dealer. So it was still being sold, no one could sell it. Then it got imported into the UK to I think Walker's at the time, who were a Lancia dealership, purchased by our vendor, and he's owned it ever since.
Wow.
So
What a story.
paperwork all the way through. Lovely example, very rare. But I'm not
Stop
tempting
it.
you.
I know what you're doing.
That wallet's beginning to creak open.
Let me just give your finance chap a quick call and
Just
see if we can
leave them alone as well. They've had enough of me.
I'll register you this time. I'll call you.
Please, just I'm gonna go in a minute. Don't.
Well, that pretty much brings this podcast to a conclusion. Matthew, if people do want to come down to Brooklands and have a look pre-auction and at the auction itself, when can they do that?
Yes, so get yourself down here. So we got viewing days tomorrow, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 till 5. Auction day itself, obviously, on the 27th. So if you need to come down, please do come down. If you want to register, you can do so online. Obviously, online bidding, telephone bidding, everything's available. There are 170 or so lots, including one of my own, which we'll go through a bit later. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see you all.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Great. That is it then. Matthew will be back for a Christmas podcast, but from all of us for the moment, bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.